Police have just tracked down Danielle Dauphinais and her boyfriend Joseph Stapf here in a New York City subway station. And by the way, this is after a manhunt that crossed 4 states.
Why you gotta give up when you know? I'm not resisting.
Can you stand up? Stand up. Stand up.
The reason for all of this is because the couple's little boy, 5-year-old Elijah Lewis, is missing. In fact, he had been missing for weeks before police found out that he was gone.
We never reported him missing, and we panicked. We're scared. We didn't know what to do.
Do you think that somebody may have kidnapped him?
I don't know. We don't know. That's why we're so freaked out.
This is a race against time if police have any hope of finding Elijah alive.
When Dauphinais and Stapf were originally found and arrested, they were charged with witness tampering and child endangerment. And that's because at that time, the authorities did not know whether or not Elijah was alive or dead.
There are a lot of questions here. Was Elijah kidnapped? Did he wander off on his own? Did something maybe more sinister happen? And why did police only now learn that he was gone? Detectives questioned Danielle Dauphinais and Joseph Stapf separately.
They want to hear the story individually from each person, lean on them, figure out who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth, and assess whether or not there's any discrepancies between their 2 stories.
Tell me what your understanding of why we're here.
Because you were wanted for questioning about my son in New Hampshire.
So tell me about Elijah and what you understand of why we're here to talk about Elijah.
Because he's missing.
Why don't you tell us your story? What's going on?
So, like, beginning of September, he's done it before. Took off while we sleep. Just takes off. We found him before up the street. We found him before one time behind the shed.
Okay, what can you tell me about that?
Well, I haven't been up there, so I don't know where he's at right now. I don't know where he's at. If I knew where he is, I would honestly tell you right now.
But this story actually starts a year or so before Elijah goes missing, when he goes to live with his mother and her boyfriend in New Hampshire, because before that he had been living with his biological father. This is Dauphinais' ex-husband, Tim Lewis.
They lived in Arizona. They got divorced in 2017, and Tim got custody of their one son, Elijah. Danielle goes back to New Hampshire, no custody for her. So she's living in New Hampshire for 3 years and decides she wants to reconnect with her son, who she's really never seen. And Tim is very eager to let this happen.
Now on the surface, letting Elijah get to know his mom in Merrimack, New Hampshire seems reasonable, even a good idea.
Merrimack is a nice town. It's about an hour from Boston. It's close to Manchester and Nashua. It's a typical New England nice small town.
Danielle Dauphinais, who's in her 30s, she has Elijah, 5 years old, with her former husband, and she has a young toddler at home, a 2-year-old, and she also becomes pregnant in early 2021 with her 3rd child.
Joseph is her boyfriend. He's a couple years younger than her. He works intermittently, and they live with his mother. They're basically supported by Joanne, Joseph's mother. They're not really working, either of them.
But the situation is about to get a lot more complicated, because it turns out, and Dauphinais doesn't know this yet, Elijah struggles with developmental issues. and some of them are pretty severe.
He has neurologists, he has psychologists, he has a whole slew of specialists. So just a whole host of behavioral issues that she's not aware of when she takes custody of her son. Tim flies out to New Hampshire, drops the kid off, and skedaddles back to Arizona.
So, and you said in May of 2020, Tim just dropped him off at your house. Was there a discussion about that?
Yeah, he said 30 days he was going to come back and pick him up.
Did he say why he was dropping him off at your house?
Because he wanted him to get to know me. And then I told him, well, I can't take him because we had to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just take on a kid when you live in a basement, you know what I mean, with no room. Well, if you don't take him now, you're not going to get him at all.
Now, Dauphinais knows this isn't the best situation, but she's afraid if she doesn't act now, she may never see Elijah again. So she agrees to this month-long visit.
So Elijah comes in May, and you stop working in June, and then do you get pregnant sometime in the winter or January? Okay. And so you were pregnant, and you were taking care of Elijah, who was
And my 2-year-old
challenging,
daughter.
and a toddler. Okay.
I was going crazy.
That's a lot.
So I mean, we never went outside. I was depressed.
Okay.
I never left the house.
That's
I
a
felt like a
lot.
prisoner in my house.
And then they realize there's all these problems with Elijah, and he is more than they can handle.
I think there was a lot of damage done there before he was brought to our attention. Because Tim would say, oh yeah, he's good, he can take showers by himself. The kid didn't have a clue how to take a shower. I always had to bathe him. I had to do everything for him, brush his teeth. Didn't know how to feed himself, not a single thing. And Tim was like, yeah, he knows how to do all that stuff.
He peed and pooped everywhere, every day. He would wipe poop on the furniture. He would wipe poop on our clothes. He would pee in Joe's closet. And it was just every day.
Okay. Is he verbal? Does he have words? Can he?
He talks. He can talk. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, like if you talk to him, he can talk
Yeah.
to you. But he doesn't know how to communicate. Like he just completely shut down when his dad dropped him off.
Tim Lewis does, in fact, keep tabs on Elijah during what's intended to be this 30-day visit. He calls, he video chats with Dauphinais. The problem is, what he sees and what he hears worries him.
She starts telling Tim, he's got to go now. I can't deal with him. He's pure evil. And Tim tells her, well, I don't have the money to fly out. That's when he decides, well, maybe there's a problem, and I'll call DCYF, the Division of Children, Youth, and Families. And so DCYF did investigate. She gets the DCYF investigation to end by telling them, I'm going to send him away to my sister in California. And the sister's willing to take him. And there is an unsigned custody agreement for the sister to take him.
We don't really know why, but after this visit from DCYF, Dauphinais has this change of heart when it comes to Elijah.
In June, Danielle says, I want to keep him for the whole school year starting in September of 2020.
So Elijah stays put in New Hampshire for the next year, and everything seems to be okay. But then you go to September of 2021, and that is when everything falls apart. That is when Elijah disappears.
Towards the end of September.
Towards the end of September.
Yeah.
Okay. We're in mid-October. So are we
it's
talking
probably almost a month.
Why didn't you call the police?
We didn't want anything to happen, because DCYF would get involved,
Okay.
and then my daughter would get taken away.
The thing is, DCYF does get involved a second time, and it's through this very strange turn of events.
She's pregnant throughout most of 2021 and gives birth in September of 2021 to a baby boy.
So you had the baby in her bathroom, and lo and behold, it was a boy.
Yes.
Okay.
And Joe brings the baby to the hospital and drops him off at a safe haven site.
The baby tested positive for drugs. That prompted an investigation by DCYF, and they traced the baby back to Dauphinais and Stapf. When they go to the home, they have the history. They know that at one time Elijah was there, and they don't see any signs of Elijah. This is really what prompts and sparks a much more thorough investigation into the whereabouts of Elijah and to try to find out what had happened to him.
This is early October of 2021. DCYF is investigating, police are now investigating, and they obtain a search warrant for the home, and they want to talk to Danielle. And that's when she agrees to go in and talk to police.
Dauphinais claims she's headed for the police station, but that is not where she goes. No, she and Stapf go on the lam. Police launch a manhunt for them, and at the same time, there is this massive search for Elijah.
We put out press releases starting last Thursday trying to find Elijah. The New Hampshire State Police Major Crime Unit, they've been working around the clock with all of their sister agencies in New Hampshire in this attempt.
Here's the thing. Things are going to start to unravel. Okay, and they're going to. They already have. You know, I mean, we found you pretty quickly.
We have some of the best investigators that this country has to offer working on this. Okay, and they won't stop.
Police want to make it clear they aren't playing games. They will find Elijah even though it's been weeks, but they need the couple's help to do it.
We'll put the pieces back together, but there's a few pieces that you hold.
They didn't know at this point whether or not he was alive or dead, and every minute that ticked by from those detectives and police officers' standpoint was another minute lost where they didn't have an opportunity to really find Elijah and potentially save him from something really dangerous.
We're making phone calls right now to put the helicopter in the air. We got our dogs coming. We're waking people up right now to get all of our resources right here. We need to get Elijah. Okay.
They've got a lot of resources they can throw at this in New Hampshire, and they've got Massachusetts State Police at this point. They're able to get their cell phone data to find locations. They have drones, they have search dogs.
Where do you think he is? Best guess. Because I'm telling you right now, we didn't do this a month ago, but we'll do it now. And there's still a chance, it's slim, but there's still a chance if he wandered away, that maybe he was able to survive.
Statistically speaking, the longer the child has been missing, the harder it is to find them.
This area here? Whereabouts?
I don't know where it goes.
So in what, on the other side of the street? In this wooded area?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really sure and 1 not being sure at all, how sure are you that we'll find something there? What number would you give them?
6.
6? Okay. So that's pretty good. Well, that's a pretty good chance.
Detectives question the couple on what happened the night Elijah went missing. And what they're listening for is any clue as to where Elijah might be.
So you get up to use the bathroom. You went over to Elijah's room, and
I peeked my head around the corner and he wasn't there. So what I usually do is I walk down to the lake and see if he's there, because sometimes he'll be sitting on the bench. And then I walk up to the driveway in the little dome, and then I walk up and down the street. But he wasn't there. As I turned around, came back in, and I woke Joe up and I said, Elijah's gone.
Now, in the other interrogation room, Joseph Stapf is telling his story. The issue is, it's not entirely matching up with what Dauphinais has been saying.
You woke up in the middle of the night and looked in his room and saw that he was gone, or did you hear something that made you wake up?
I just saw that he was gone.
So both you and Danielle saw it?
Yeah, well, I told her, yeah.
So what happens next? What do you do next? What did you do?
We just look for him.
You went out and looked for him?
Where do you go?
The same spots where he's been before.
Right off the bat, there was a discrepancy in their discussions with the police concerning who discovered that he was missing. You know, Dauphinais said it was her, Stapf said it was him. So pretty early on, the police started to piece together that one or both of them were not telling the truth.
That's the predicament that we're in, you know? Not that you're not being truthful, not that she's not being truthful, but you can't both be being truthful.
How about the door to the outside of the house?
It was cracked.
Okay. When you say this,
Like,
like
it was cracked
it was
open,
cracked
yeah.
like an inch? Is that what you're showing?
I'd inch or two.
So do you think that after he went out that night, you think that he turned around and closed the door behind him?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Because I don't see it.
Dauphinais says, oh, it's very typical that Elijah would just wander off or leave, and she said that she found the sliding door slightly ajar, maybe an inch or so opened, and that he just slipped out in there. And we all know as adults that sliding glass doors are heavy, and they can be difficult for adults to move, much less a 5-year-old child in the middle of the night.
Is the door open? Is the door closed?
Yeah, it's open.
The door is open. About how much is it open?
It was like open like a foot or so.
Yeah.
So Danielle's telling us the exact opposite. You can't both be right. You know what I mean?
By that time, detectives have been questioning these two for hours, and still there are no solid answers. So basically, they've had enough.
Eli didn't just walk out. We know that. We know that he didn't just walk out. And I know that you're scared, and I don't want you to continue to go down a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Why do you guys think that he didn't walk out? I don't understand it.
Because we've searched everywhere. We've searched everywhere.
It's not our fault that he ran away.
But he didn't just run away. We firmly believe that he didn't just run away. He would have been located by now.
Are you guys thinking that we did something to this boy?
I don't think that he just walked out the door.
Why?
Because we've had every resource imaginable look for him.
I can only imagine that these detectives are just feeling so incredibly frustrated, because how could these two people who supposedly cared for him, how could they not be ready, willing, and able to say everything they know to try to get that child back?
So we've been working around the clock since last Thursday with a massive team of investigators, the best investigators in the state and in all of New England, looking for your son. What tactics do you think that we should be employing, or where should we be looking for him?
I don't know.
Where do you think he is?
I have no idea. We did not hurt that little boy, and I do not appreciate you saying that we did.
I'm not saying that you did.
No one hurt that little boy. No one hurt that little boy. We are not monsters. We are very good people. We are very nice. Mm-hmm. Our kids are well taken care of. We will not hurt our kids.
When a concerned parent becomes defensive and frustrated with the police who are trying to help her child, that's not a normal or typical response. Her almost hostility towards the police while they're trying to do an investigation on behalf of her and her child certainly would have been a red flag for the police, that she knew a lot more than what she was giving up at that time.
She's confirming, without confirming, their worst suspicions about what happened to this little boy.
Finally, police get a breakthrough in the search for Elijah. But unfortunately, it is the news that they have been dreading from the start.
This morning, State Police cadaver dog and MSP Special Emergency Response Team members located what was presumed to be Elijah Lewis's body buried in the ground.
An autopsy will be performed tomorrow here in Massachusetts at the Chief Medical Examiner's office. And once we have a determination of cause and manner of death, we'll be examining all of our facts that we've gathered in the investigation and determining what, if any, further charges will be brought.
Elijah Lewis's body is found about an hour and a half from his home. And as soon as they lay eyes on him, the horrific reality of what he's been through becomes crystal clear.
Elijah's 19-pound body, which was bruised and battered and bloodied, was found in a state park in Abington, Massachusetts, buried in a very shallow grave.
The results of the autopsy of Elijah Lewis are horrible. He died of severe violence and neglect. He has facial and scalp injuries, acute fentanyl intoxication, malnourishment, pressure ulcers, and his death is ruled a homicide.
Police are now investigating, and they obtain a search warrant for the home. And that's when they find the blood and the drugs and the signs of abuse. Police are starting to ask about people's cell phones and their text messages. Danielle would text Joe after she got frustrated with Elijah, and she punished him, tortured him. She, at one point, texted him a photo of Elijah's face that had been bruised up. She'd clearly been beating him, and she texted, "Look at this kid's face." Joe Stapf, he wasn't an innocent bystander. He would text back like, "Yeah, that kid's a POS, big time." They would text how much they hated him.
He was beaten in the bathroom, and his head was banged against the shower tile wall with such force that his head broke the shower tiles in their bathroom. She beat him to the point of unconsciousness, and she left him in the bathtub, unconscious, bleeding. When Stapf came home, Elijah was actually still alive. And rather than calling 911 or getting someone to take them to the hospital, Stapf bandaged Elijah's head and put Elijah into his bed. And that's where Elijah passed away at some point during the night. What is particularly chilling, just bone chilling, is that when Dauphinais learned that Elijah had died, she put in a text message to Stapf celebrating his death and saying, well, now we can be free. We're freed of this child, of this problem, essentially.
Our thoughts are with Eli's family and the entire Merrimack community. I'm glad and relieved that we were able to bring some closure to this part of the ongoing investigation, and most importantly, help bring Eli home with some dignity.
Obviously, a little boy is gone. Nobody deserved to die this way, and we need to make sure we do everything in our power to make sure we can get justice for this little boy.
It has been 6 months since Elijah's body was found, and that is when Danielle Dauphinais is officially indicted on charges of first and second degree murder. And this is when prosecutors start piecing together what really happened after he seemingly disappeared.
At 3 p.m. on October the 14th, DCYF reported to the Merrimack Police Department that Elijah was missing. At 3:16 p.m., the defendant was on the phone with the Merrimack Police Department telling them that she would meet them at the police department by 4:30 that afternoon. At 3:20 that afternoon, the defendant and Mr. Stapf withdraw money from Joanne Staff's account with Elijah's body in the back of their pickup truck.
When Dauphinais and Stapf realized that the police were investigating and questioning Elijah's whereabouts, they originally told the police they would come in voluntarily to the station to be questioned. Rather than going to the police station as they had promised, they got $1,000 out of the bank.
She and Joseph load Elijah's body into their truck, along with everything he owned, which wasn't much. We're talking maybe a blanket, some comic books, and a stuffed Spider-Man doll.
At 4:44 p.m., the defendant and Mr. Stapf were at Target in Burlington, Massachusetts, to buy their new phones and some new clothing and toiletries for their flight. Elijah's body in the back of the truck at the Target.
They buy cash cell phones, but then they load up their Facebook account into the cell phone, thereby linking it to them and making it easy to track.
Between 11:36 and 11:52 that evening, the defendant and Mr. Stapf were in Abington, Massachusetts, where Joseph Stapf buried Elijah in a shallow hole.
They used the cell phone data to find out where they stopped long enough to bury the body, to locate his body in the woods.
Phone records in this case showed the defendant telling Mr. Stapf at 11:48 p.m. that it doesn't have to be big, referring to the hole he was trying to dig. And at 12:04 that morning saying it doesn't have to be far down, you know.
In other words, just get the job done and let's get out of here. I mean, just chilling. And after they buried Elijah's body, they then went to Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, which is a casino, caught a show, slept in the truck overnight, then they abandoned the truck and went to New York City.
When they found Joseph Staff's pickup truck in Mohegan Sun Casino, they found trash bags that had some of Elijah's stuff. A Spider-Man doll, some belongings of his with childlike handwriting. They were discarded, just like Elijah, in a trash bag.
Here's a little guy, and his only toy is this little stuffed Spider-Man. And I keep coming back to it. I keep thinking about that. He's buried in a fetal position in the dirt, and they take his toy and they throw that away too. They throw away his Spider-Man.
Within hours, the defendant and Mr. Stapf boarded a bus and left for New York City. On October the 17th at 7 o'clock in the morning, about 7:13, the defendant and Mr. Stapf were arrested in the subway in the Bronx, New York.
I don't know what the going on. What's going on? No.
Using cell phone data, they were able to track their whereabouts through their cell phones and were able to identify their location.
The prosecution has plenty of evidence against both Dauphinais and Stapf.
Joseph Stapf, from the get-go, was just as much a part of this as anything else. He stonewalled. He knew that Elijah was being abused. He saw him that night in September. He said maybe we should feed him before we get rid of him so we don't get in trouble. He knew.
Joseph Staff's sentencing hearing occurred before Danielle's in September of 2022. He pled guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to up to 40 years in prison.
I definitely think his motivation for pleading guilty of the manslaughter was trying to reduce his sentence.
Now, after sentencing, Stapf stands before the parole board, and that is when he speaks out about his role in Elijah's life.
I've never wanted this child to be abused. I wanted him to get help all along.
If he wanted Elijah to get help, he could have at any point over the 18 months that kid was getting brutalized in his home by his drug-addicted girlfriend. For him to say now, oh no, I just wanted him to get help, the facts just aren't there for that.
I'm a grown man. I know I should have removed him out of harm's way, and that's the guilt I'm struggling with to this day.
He told the authorities that she had asked him to bury Elijah's body when they realized he was dead, and he said he couldn't do it. But then he puts him in a container outside of their house.
It was outside of the slider door.
Where you were living?
Yes.
And how long had he been left there?
I don't know, like a month, two, I don't know.
So that kind of depravity, to me, undercuts any sense of guilt that he may have had in or any responsibility that he assumed for his role in Elijah's death.
Stapf is granted parole on a lesser charge, but the bottom line is, he will spend decades in prison for manslaughter and assault. Now, a couple of years later, Dauphinais goes to court, but at the 11th hour, there's a change of plans.
Dauphinais pleaded guilty on the eve of trial to a second-degree murder charge.
She had originally been charged with first-degree and second-degree murder, but she ultimately pled guilty to the somewhat lesser charge of second-degree murder, which is a step above the manslaughter charge that her boyfriend Stapf pled guilty to.
For Dauphinais' defense attorney, this is clearly an uphill battle. He's not even arguing for her innocence. What he tries to do is paint her as a victim, the same way as her son.
Yeah, the defense strategy here was to mitigate the circumstances as much as possible. I think they knew what they were up against. They knew that they were never going to secure not guilty. So there was a lot of evidence that the defense just couldn't work their way around.
If there's one word that could sum up this entire case, it would be the word nightmare. The nightmare that Elijah Lewis went through during all of his days, particularly at the end. The nightmare that Miss Dauphinais suffered throughout her entire life growing up. Regular physical abuse was something that Danielle suffered in multiple homes, from her stepfather to her real father to foster placements. These are the kinds of ways that she learned how to control a child.
I don't doubt she had a terrible childhood. She had just a terrible childhood. She learned to be an abusive parent. She learned to be an addict as a child. So do a lot of people. They don't kill kids. They don't kill their little guys.
Now, because Dauphinais pleads guilty, obviously there's no trial, but she does get the opportunity to say her piece before the judge officially sentences her.
All the agony that my son encountered, neglect, mistreatment, isolation, and malnourishment was horrible. No child should ever have to go through any, and in particular that kind of abuse. That's what happened to me in many similar ways. I also was neglected, mistreated, isolated, and malnourished by my parents and their partners, and I'm so lucky to be alive. I was also sexually abused by people who were supposed to protect me. Even so, Elijah never deserved any of the abuse. Parents are supposed to take care of their child.
Danielle Dauphinais is so distraught as she's speaking to the court that she can barely get the words out.
I did not know what to do. I was also deep in my addiction and not making great choices. Such as not contacting DCUM to get the help Elijah needed because I was afraid that my daughter and my unborn baby I can't do it.
She broke down in the middle of reciting her presentation, which she was reading from a paper, and one of her lawyers continued to read the account.
I've been sober for 3 years. I will live with the guilt and sadness that I participated in allowing my son to die. I also want to say that I am sorry to those that I let down, but most of all, to the one person who can't hear me ever again. I'm so sorry, Elijah, that I failed you as your mother.
Before the judge officially sentences Danielle Dauphinais, Tim Lewis, this is Elijah Lewis's biological father, gets the chance to speak. And what he says to his ex-wife is shocking.
As for you, you don't deserve to hear this. I don't even want to address you. I will always be a voice for my son now. You have ruined so many lives taking the life of my son. All of us that know and love him, all of our lives have been darkened every single day by the fact that he is no longer here with us. Every family event, every milestone will forever be blanketed in sorrow because we never get to make that memory with Eli.
Lewis's victim impact statement, I thought, was pretty powerful. I imagine he feels guilt about what happened, and he did notify the authorities a year before Elijah's death that he had concerns.
You intentionally tortured, starved, beat, and brutally killed a little 5-year-old boy. When you carried and gave birth to him, it's sick. You are absolutely the most pathetic excuse for a person. You are the very definition of evil, and I hope you never make it out.
And before the judge sentences Dauphinais, the prosecution speaks one more time.
Elijah deserved to have a hero. He deserved for his father, mother, stepfather to all have been heroes. But now he has this community to be his hero. And this is not a case that you can forget. The defendant's sentence should reflect the magnitude of the harm she caused. We're asking that you impose the sentence of 55 years to life on the second-degree murder charge.
There was one thing about this hearing that I found especially moving, and that is when the judge talks about Elijah.
This is how people should remember Elijah. It's a picture, photograph of a defenseless, vulnerable, dependent little guy who is smiling, and you can see the life in him. You can see the love in that little boy's face.
And the judge held up a picture of Elijah from when he was healthy and smiling and just this beautiful little boy. And the judge made a point that that's how he wanted Elijah to be remembered. Not as an emaciated, injured, abused child that was found in a shallow grave with dirt on his face and on his body.
One thing that was interesting that he said right up front in his statement was that every time that he does a sentencing, he looks for redeeming qualities, no matter what the crime. And he said he did that here, and referenced a statement that he heard Dauphinais make, that she wanted to help the little boy and that her heart hurt and she needed help. And later on, compared that to other statements that she made in text messages describing the child as a rotten kid, using the words that she hated him, and other really horrific descriptions of this boy.
A slow, prolonged, and painful death of an innocent and blameless 5-year-old boy. A trail of words and actions that scream of the evil that was put upon this isolated, little, defenseless, innocent child. We have to remove you from society and show society, from a judicial standpoint, that justice will be done and the community, especially the children of the community, will be protected.
His statement was powerful. He said various things about how he viewed both the conduct, which was abhorrent, and also about the way that the words of Dauphinais described to him what she was thinking. He said, "Your words are chords of terror that rained down on this little boy." And he said that the evidence was beyond overwhelming.
It's a case, as I said before, that will stay with many in this courtroom, and it's a case that deserves significant, severe, and prolonged incarceration. With that all being said, if you would stand, I'm going to sentence you as follows. Upon your plea of guilty to the crime of second-degree murder, you are sentenced to the New Hampshire State Prison for not more than life nor less than 50 years. The sentence is consecutive to 2 sentences for witness tampering.
Daphne's got the strictest sentence she could have gotten, given the plea deal that she entered into. Her plea gives her the opportunity of parole, but not until she's 88 years old.
This is such an emotional case that even outside the courthouse, after the hearing, there are some very powerful statements.
Justice, I feel, was served a bit today. Knowing that she won't be getting out and she'll most likely die in prison is a huge relief. She did not show any remorse at all for her son, and she deserves everything that she gets, and I am glad to hear that she's being haunted by him. That's what she deserves.
The judge called her pure evil. What would you call her?
I agree 100%. She is a snake. She's a chameleon, and she will do anything she can to manipulate her way to, you know, look better to people.
Now, among the people to speak is the Merrimack police chief, and he admits this was a very tough case to investigate.
Just wondering, you know, saw some tears from your department in there. This is personal for your department.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, no sentence is severe enough to equate what Elijah went through. But hopefully it can bring some closure for the officers that worked the case, the community in whole.
The judge had quite a message today. What's your message as the chief?
And there's a lot of people that knew Elijah was being neglected. There's a lot of people that didn't step up. There's a lot of people that didn't know where he was. When you see someone needs a hand, that someone might be having a struggling day parenting, maybe just simply ask, hey, are you okay? And offer to help.
It definitely does feel like Elijah was failed on many levels by the adults around him and by the system itself. There were a lot of different people who could have at any point stepped up and said something. They could have raised an alarm at that point in time. It's that basic old school messaging, right? If you see something, say something.
I keep coming back to this little boy who was thrown away and thrown away and thrown away. Nobody wanted him. He needed help. No one wanted to give it to him. This is one of those stories I wish I could forget. And I know I can't, and I know I shouldn't, and I know nobody should forget it. Nobody should forget Elijah and what happened to him and who did it.
This is an incredibly dark story. There's no other way to say it. You're talking about generational child abuse, neglect, addiction. It is very hard to find any bright spots. But maybe someone hearing this story, a parent who maybe feels overwhelmed, will be encouraged to get some help, or a friend will intervene if they feel like somebody they care about needs a hand.